Hello and welcome to episode number 263, 62, one or the other, of the TEW 28 Challenge Run. I'm going to start this with a warning. You may pick up on noise in the background on this episode that you haven't normally picked up, other than like in the normal scattering and shit. It's a fan. There's literally a fan like 2 feet away from the microphone right now, and I'm not turning it off because it's fucking hot. So I apologise in advance, but I'm hoping it won't be too much of a distraction, but I refuse to turn it off. Anyway, this is the first SmackDown since Money in the Bank, and we are on the road to King of the Ring. King of the Ring and Queen's Crown will start on this show, and we'll get follow-up on all the events of Money in the Bank, including the return of Daniel Bryan, including King Corbin gambling away the US title, and a whole lot more of the debut of Kushida. All of these things will be addressed on this show. Without any further ado, let's jump straight into the show. The Bloodline open. We get the usual big Roman Reigns entrance. Heyman's got the microphone. He goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman, and I was supposed to be standing here tonight, a proud advocate. And don't worry, I am a proud wise man, a proud advocate. I'm proud of my tribal chief. But there's where the emotions end, because your former United States champion, the man that you have deemed the future of this company, Bron Breakker, he stepped into his very first his very first main event of a WWE Premium Live event against Roman Reigns, and boy did that boy put up a good fight. Not 1 second in that match with Roman Reigns did Bron Breakker look like he didn't belong. And in fact, if you weren't sold on Bron Breakker as a main eventer in WWE for the next 10 years to come, you surely are after watching Money in the Bank. But what should have been a celebratory victory for the tribal chief was cut short. By the return of Daniel Bryan. For those of you who don't know, Daniel Bryan is a man who has quite the history with the tribal chief, and I will never once doubt, I don't think you'll find anybody on this planet that will ever doubt Daniel Bryan's ability in the wrestling ring, and that's why it disappointed me to see Daniel Bryan make his return at the expense of Roman Reigns, because Daniel Bryan is now set to challenge Roman Reigns for the WWE Championship at King of the Ring. In any given other lifetime, I would be happy to have a star and the talent, the caliber of Daniel Bryan back on the SmackDown roster, but Daniel Bryan made the mistake of going for the big dog, the tribal chief, and now he's going to have to lose. Daniel Bryan went out a loser, and he's going to come back a loser. So I'm glad that your break is over, Mr. American Dragon, and I'm glad that you feel content to make your return to WWE. But let's get one thing clear: you're not going to beat Roman Reigns. The Roman Reigns that you could never beat is dead. And if you couldn't beat that Roman Reigns, what makes you think you can beat this Roman Reigns? And don't get me wrong, I will be interested to hear what you have to say, because you are going to be here later on tonight, giving your side of this whole return thing. But I'm just giving you a warning that you've messed up in challenging the tribal chief. Roman takes the microphone, and he's like, "This is just a game to you, Bryan. I thought I'd seen the last of you. I was tired of you ruining my career, putting yourself ahead of me all those years, and you couldn't just sit back, your selfish ass couldn't just sit back and let me rule over SmackDown. You had to try and butt your nose back in my business, back in the Chief's business, yet again. Well, let me tell you something, goat boy. You can go back to whatever hole you crawled out of, because this is the tribal Chief's world, and you're leveling it, and you're going to find that out at King of the Ring. And at that, all I say is yes, yes, yes." So Bryan's back, fighting Roman Reigns. These two, you know, always have bangers together. So, good match to bring him back in. And yeah, last time we saw Bryan was like this time last year. He left because his contract ran out in real life. So my Bryan's contract ran out as well. But then in the game, he just went on hiatus and didn't do anything instead of going to AEW. So I was like, well, fuck it. If no one else wants him, I'll take him. So he's back. Daniel Bryan. And speaking of banging matches, King of the Ring opens up with a 92. I did actually play a game the other day when I was booking this match in. Sent a screenshot of it, and I was like, hey, guess what blue rating this match would get? And yeah, it is blue, of course, 92. But yeah, Seth Rollins is in King of the Ring. And he defeats Adam Cole Baby in the opening match of the SmackDown side of the tournament with the curb stomp in 1833. As we all know, the winner of King of the Ring gets a guaranteed shot at the world champion of their choosing, and we can make a pretty good guess which one Seth would pick. But Cole gets an 84 and a 96 for Seth. We then cut back the Vegas Strip earlier this week. Corbin and Nice are looking. He's like, man, I can't believe what I did. I mean, it can't be good to lose company property, you know. And Nice's like, I tried to warn you not to do it, King. And he's like, well, all that matters now is we have to find this championship. We need to go back to that fucking casino and get this championship back, because I don't know what's going to happen if I don't. But I'm not really on the best of luck right now. I've kind of run low on money. And have you got any on you? And he's like, what? Money? Corbin's like, yeah, you can go in there and try and win back my title. And he's like, you must have lost your rabbit-ass mind. I'm not wasting my money trying to get your title back to fix your problems. You got yourself in this, you get yourself out of it. And he just sort of walks off and abandons Corbin, sad on the strip, as he tries to conjure up the funds to get his US title back. That is Jacob Fatu. That is very much not JC Jane. Anyway, we just get a recap of the 6-woman tag from Money in the Bank. Where Shida made her debut to replace Io in the match, where they beat Toxic Attraction, and then we get the first round of the Queen's Crown tournament from the SmackDown side, where Shida takes on Indy. And that match gets a 77. Shida defeats Indy. They're both scoring 69s, which is fine, which I think is about like 2 or 3 above Indy's pop and like 9 above Shida's, so it's fine. But she wins in 8-10 with the Majo no Ichigeki, the running knee strike, whatever she calls it. I can't remember what that's actually called in AEW. They both get 69s, and I'm not going to look at that recap gimmick changes yet, because that's... I don't know what that is. I don't want to talk about that yet. I want to talk about that later on in the night. But yes, for now, Hikaru Shida advances. She wins her second WWE match. She beats Indy with a big running knee. That's going to annoy me. I'm going to Google it right now. I can't remember what she called it. It's not that. I don't think it's those words. Hikaru Shida finisher. Because they took that section off Wikipedia, so I can moan about that, because that's annoying. Why did they ever take that off Wikipedia? Tamashii no free count, that's the one. That's the one I'm thinking of. Anyway, after that win, Dakota's watching backstage, and Kayla comes up to her, like, Dakota, you know, big win over Sasha at Money in the Bank. And now obviously the Queen's Crown tournament. We don't know what's next. What's next for the SmackDown Women's Champion? And Dakota's like, Sasha's gonna moan about the shenanigans based around that Money in the Bank match, but I'm champion for a reason, Kayla. If she wants to take it up with me, she can take it up with me. But as for what's next, you know, Shida, great new addition to the division. Kairi Utami still here. Toxic Attraction, Candice, Shotzi, Raquel. All these great women. I don't know who's next in line. A lot of them are in Queen's Crown right now. But I'll kick any of their heads off. Doesn't matter who it is. I've got no preference. We then go back to the Vegas Strip. And Corbin's on his own now. Nee sort of abandoned him. It's like, oh my god, I found it. there's the casino. And then he stops. He's sort of like, what is going on? And then we pan around and there's like all these wrestlers. Nice, Lindsay with Cynthia Crespo, Oni, Shinsuke and Boogs just like scavenging around the casino. And they're like, guys, what is going on here? And then Shinsuke's like, we're searching for the US title. Corbin's like, but that's my belt. Why are you looking for it? And then Boogs is like, well, Adam Pearce put, a big search warrant out for the US title. Whoever can find the championship and return it to him gets big payoff and a championship opportunity against you. Corbin's like, well, that's bullshit. That's preposterous. It's my title. And then Boogie's like, well, you better go find the fucking thing then. And Corbin's like, god damn it. And then they all, re-enter the casino trying to find the lost US title. 69. I didn't expect good things from this match, but it's fine. It's more about the afterbirth anyway. Johnny Gargano beats Bobby Fish in 4 minutes and 44. With the Hertz Donut, he gets a 77 and a 59 for Fish. Obviously Candice is with Johnny. Probably not Ciampa. Ciampa's probably off somewhere lurking. Him and Gargano, they did do the DIY thing. But I still wouldn't say they're, the best friends. He's not going to bring Ciampa out with him every single week because he still doesn't trust him, basically. Out with he's got how I imagine is the creative wrestler parts. You've got those creative wrestler parts where they think they're from 2K originals or some shit, or from online rewards. But they're sort of they can tell they're an actual jacket, they're not actual robot parts. But they're designed to look like he's got robot parts. A jacket with metal shit on it. That's what Buddy Murphy comes out in. Buddy Murphy we haven't seen since last October, November. He went out with a broken leg. And he's like, well, if it isn't my good friend, Johnny Gargano. Congratulations on the big win, Johnny. You're sure showing the world why they call you Johnny freaking Wrestling. And Johnny's like, yeah, hello, my old friend. Because these two never did fall out, really. Because Johnny went off to make the way when the church split up, but Buddy stuck with Seth so he could betray him. So, these two were still on good terms this whole time. And he's like, last time I was here, you really reminded me what it takes to be bloody Murphy. And me, you, Priest, we had that old reunion thing going on. You really tried to help me there, Johnny. Which is why it sickened me to sit at home and watch you. Because you're abandoned me. You moved on. You're going to go back to Ciampa? Me and you were on the cusp of greatness, Gargano, and you threw that away because you want to go be a beach boy for Tommaso Ciampa yet again. And Johnny's like, well, okay, bitch. I thought we were friends here. Well, if you're not taking that, then why don't we fight right now? Buddy chuckles. He's like, you see, Johnny? You think I'm some sort of Wally, do you? I've been gone for so long. I'm not the same bloody Murphy you remember. Though, my surgery, the titanium I had to put in my body to null the pain of my injuries. Which got me thinking, that's not a bad idea. What if I kept that up? What if I kept that in my body? Surely my knee, my leg, would be stronger than anyone. It would wipe anybody out. And so that's what I did. In place of bone, I've got titanium now, Johnny, and you don't want to mess with me. But also, you might want to look behind you, because just when you've got friends, I've got friends of my own. Johnny turns around and Dijakovic is there. He's got the same sort of metallic, sort of a robotic cyborg jacket on, and he just delivers a massive chokeslam to Gargano. And Buddy and Dijak are the robot cyborg men. So obviously, I didn't want to play with an actual cyborg wrestler, because that would be silly. But, like, the concept is based on, well, a few things. A, when the fucking silly thing in 2K, when Samoa Joe had his robot arm, I was like, you know, that's really dumb, that would never ever happen. But, like, a more realistic version would be, like, when you break a bone and they put, like, titanium in there to mend the bone. So, like, people still have, like, those titanium plates where they broke. I was like, yeah, buddy can have one of those in his leg and be like, I'm the $6 million man, you know, Steve Austin. Not Stone Cold, the astronaut, you know, where they sort of made him the cyborg man, but, like, that concept as a wrestler was kind of silly. So they rebuilt him with a titanium leg or whatever, and he's sort of got, instead of bone, he's got titanium. He's gonna have a $6 million knee, and yeah, it's goofy, but, like, it gives him something to do. It gives Dijak something to do. So, like, he's not actually a robot. He's still very much human, as is Dijakovic, but they've strengthened their bones, I guess, to, like, make their attacks hit more. And yeah, he's taken exception to Johnny Gargano of all people, so he's now a heel again. He was a babyface when we left him off. He was sort of floundering after he beat Seth Rollins and all them. But he's been rebuilt better, stronger, faster than ever before and all that shit. And the extra parts, I guess, Dijakovic was like, hey, make me strong too. So he's now... I actually was, believe it or not, debating changing his name to T-Bar, because I thought that would fit the whole gimmick better. But I might even take Buddy off and just do Murphy, because that sort of sounds more like the sort of name for this sort of gimmick. Murphy and Dijakovic. But yeah, anyway, Buddy Murphy was the rebuilt gentleman. He's the $6 million man, but as a wrestler. Oh my god, Carmelo Hayes. Chillax. We then get a scene of Melo walking into the hairdressers. He plonks his Money in the Bank briefcase down on the worktop, like, in front of the mirror in the barber shop. And Trent's like, yeah, you see what my boy Melo got? My boy Melo's money, he don't miss, we told you this. And then he's getting a champion's trim. And then Trent's like, you know, Melo, when are you going to think about cashing that in? You know, we got a great pay-per-views coming up. Got King of the Ring coming up. About it, you could become the King of the Ring and become the champion there. And then Melo's like, maybe SummerSlam. He's like, yeah, maybe that Clash of the Castle show coming up in England. Maybe you want to become the King of England, Melo. It's like, maybe the Royal Rumble. Maybe I'll even wait till WrestleMania. Who knows when I'm going to cash in. But when I know for a fact that I'm going to call my shot, and when I call my shot, we all know I don't miss. But yeah, I didn't really have a match or anything for Melo to do on this show, but I had to get him on. So yeah, the fun. But what I'm trying to get in the habit of is, unless we're being interviewed by people, everyone will sort of have their own, like, specific area where they'll cut promos. Like, if Melo's not being interviewed or he's not in the ring, he'll be at the barbershop. Like, if, you know, Karrion Kross and his cult aren't being interviewed in the ring, then they'll be in their dark, smoky room. Stuff like that. Like, so it gives every promo, like, a unique feel. Like, Moxie's always in front of, like, the barbed wire or the random gate or whatever fence backstage. I just think, yeah, because then they all stand out differently. Roman's always in his locker room, you know. So, Trick and Melo's place is the barbershop, obviously. 90 rated match. Apollo Crews scores the victory over Ricochet. And if you're keeping track at home, you know what that means. He's once again destined for an encounter with Seth Rollins. Apollo gets a 75, 92 for Ricochet. 13-14 for the match. Apollo gets the dub. And he advances to face Seth Rollins in the next round. Speaking of tournaments, we then get the second Queen's Crown match of the day. Sasha Banks makes her entrance alongside Indy Hartwell and another gentleman that we've never seen before. And Sasha's got the microphone, and she's like, this is a nightmare of epic proportions, you know. At Money in the Bank, I should be standing here, the SmackDown Women's Champion. But I'm not. And it's through no fault of my own, it's through no fault of Indy's. It's through no goodwill of Dakota's. It's because of Lita. Yes, Lita of all people. She came out. She decided she was going to be on commentary for my match at Money in the Bank, because I guess she's some sort of like Hall of Famer, and they apparently want to have her view on this tournament, which is weird. But like, she got up in Indy's grill and then up in my grill. So I guess if I'm going to get another shot at Dakota, I've got to win this for the second year in a row. You know, I won this last year. I'm going to win it again. And I'll get my rematch with Dakota. No Lita, no anybody, no other washed up has-beens. And to ensure that Lita's not going to get involved in my match, I brought protection with me. And Indy's like, oh, that's really nice of you, Sasha, but I was at Money in the Bank as well, mate, and I don't really call myself protection. And then Sasha sort of looks at her all funny. And she's like, oh, you meant Sanga, I see. So Sanga, he's there. I've recently brought him back because he's just such a fucking legend in real life. And I was like, who needs a bodyguard? Obviously, he will eventually break into, you know, the charismatic, beloved babyface Sanga that we all know and love. But him being a bodyguard is the best way to introduce him. And I can imagine him, you know, as the security guard for Sasha and Indy. So he's here. They had to put the old boss logo back up because Sanga's in the group. And he just stands there, cross-armed. He's going to stand at ringside to make sure nobody gets involved in Sasha's grill. When Lita comes out, she's back on commentary for this Queen's Crown match. And Sasha's like, what the fuck? Why is you back out here? And then Kairi comes out, and we're going to do Sasha and Kairi once again. They got a 90 last week. Let's see if they get 90 again. 88. Kairi bruised her bum. Poor girl. Is that what? Yep, that's what ruined it. It would have... That's not what ruined it at all. It's because I put the wrong finish in. Anyway, so Lita's at the announce desk. She's shouting shit at Sasha, and it's obviously distracting her when Sanga gets on the top rope, or he stands on the apron. He starts shouting at the referee. Sanga gets ejected, and Sasha's like, "What the fuck, ref? What the fuck?" And Indy's kicking off as well. And then when the referee's distracted, just sending Indy out as well. Lita slides into the ring off the announce desk, drops Sasha with the twist of fate. And then Kairi nails the insane elbow. And Sasha, last year's Queen of the Ring, last year's Queen Sasha, is out of the tournament. Because Lita got involved and dropped her with a twist of fate, and Kairi scored the pin with the elbow. 93 for Sasha, 88 for Kairi. Kairi bruised her bum. Poor girl. But yes, Kairi Sane is the one that moves on. Despite what this may say, this is the actual result. We then cut backstage. Apollo Crews is chilling. He's happy after he just got a win. And Heyman walked up to him. It's like, Apollo Crews, you did so well with Seth Rollins. And thanks to us, you're really finding your feet here on SmackDown. You're going to be in the King of the Ring. You've got Seth Rollins again next week. So, with us doing you such a great favour, would you mind doing one more for me? And Apollo's listening, obviously, to what Heyman has to say. 82 rated closing segment. Daniel Bryan's back. Yes, yes, yes. And he gets into the ring. And he sort of just takes in the chants, Daniel Bryan, clap, 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 all that. And he sort of looks around, grinning. And they do yes chants, he takes them in. And he's like, you gonna let me speak, or... It's like, so... This past year has been... quite an eye-opening, much-needed one in my life. You see, last year, my WWE contract expired. Through no fault of the company's own, I decided it was time for me to take a step back from wrestling and reevaluate my life. And because I was beaten up, God, I had to retire for 3 years back there, you know. I was beaten up, and I had to really, you know, got 2 kids at home. Thought maybe what would be best for me is to stay at home and be a dad. and let the next generation of WWE stars take over. I'm talking guys like Finn Balor, guys like Roman Reigns, guys like Seth Rollins, guys like Big E, Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, Braun Breaker, Drew McIntyre, Keith Lee, Ricochet, Apollo Crews, all these guys, you know, the guys. Walter, Pete Dunne. I could sit here and name them all day. And for a while I was content. I was content watching Roman Reigns dominate with the WWE Championship. And I was content not wrestling again until I wasn't. Until I saw Roman Reigns disrespecting that championship. Until I saw him making a mockery of that championship. Because Roman Reigns, as matter what he tries to tell you, he's not a champion. I'm a champion. The heart and soul and fire and the passion that we have. That's what makes a champion. Not good looks, not muscles, not tattoos, not WrestleMania main events against your cousin that you were handed. The ability to overcome adversity. The ability to get them chanting your chant in front of 80,000 people at the biggest event of the year. That's what makes a champion. So I couldn't sit idly by. I was getting that itch. And I thought, this guy's not the best wrestler in the world. I am. And sure, I've not really had the best of luck against Roman Reigns in the past. But after a fresh year, a year of reflection, a year of thinking, a year of training, I am back. I'm ready to kick Roman Reigns' ass. And I'm ready to be the WWE Champion once again. Apollo Crews interrupts. And he's like, Bryan, good to see you, buddy. Like, you're really talking a lot of smack for somebody who ran away screaming from me, not even of Roman Reigns. Because you're a loser, dragon. Do you not remember the last time we saw you here? You were on your back looking up at the lights because of me. And if you don't leave the tribal chief's name out of your mouth, you'll be doing that again tonight. And Bryan's going, you're correct, Apollo. This is what I was talking about. I was beaten down mentally. Losing to you, as good as you are, was a reflection. And I was hoping, after this year away, that your name would be in that list of the next generation of WWE stars that I could entrust to carry the company in my absence. But it wasn't, Apollo, because you didn't really do much after you beat me, and now you'll just find yourself kissing up to the tribal chief and kissing his ass. So maybe you want to try and take a look in the mirror, reflect on your life. Apollo goes, you listen here. I did that reflection already. That's what made me the man I am today. And if the old Apollo Crews could whip your ass, imagine what the new Apollo Crews could do. And then a fight brawls out. Bryan gets on top of Apollo, obviously. He gets him into the corner, does the big run and drop kicks. Then the corner trapped kicks. Apollo's on his knees, he does the yes kicks. Then he backs into the corner, starts doing the yes chants. When he charges at him, Superman punch, Roman Reigns flies in out of nowhere. The bloodline, all three of them, Jimmy, Jacob and Roman, beat up on Bryan. Went out from the back from Braun Breaker and Keith Lee to even the odds. They take out Jimmy, they take out Jacob. And then Roman Reigns, he drops Braun Breaker with a spear, turns around, bang! The tribal chief eats a running knee. And he's laid out by Daniel Bryan. Keith Lee and Braun just sort of clear the way. Bryan picks up the title. Yes chants as he holds the title up in the air to end the show. Daniel Bryan is back and he's made his message clear. 91 rated show, increased our popularity in 8 regions. Again, I hope the fan wasn't too distracting, but I'm not turning it off because I would die. So, anyway, we now move on to Velocity, which I believe is going to be the final matches of groups E and F, question mark, maybe G and H, I can't remember which ones. positive it's E and F. And I'll see you on the other side no matter which ones it is. It was E and F, groups E and F. And we start with a decent match actually, given who's in it and like the ratings they had. Roderick Strong and Tony Nese, or Knee Jerk Nese even. 11:49, Roddy taps him out with a stronghold, which I think puts Roddy on 6 points. We'll have a look at the groups after the show. But I think Knee Jerk is out and Roddy's through. And then the second match is Reggie against Dominic. And Reggie's on 3, Dominic's on none. So if Dominic wins, I think there'll be a 3-way tie. So we'll have to see what happens in that scenario, which does happen. Dominic beats Sir Reginald by pinfall in 9:48. And yeah. So Reggie gets a 45-68 for Dominic. So Dominic, Knee Jerk, and Reggie are all on 3. So I guess we're going to head to the office of RJC right now, but he'll tell us that next week's episode of Velocity will be an hour and a half, and will also feature that triple threat match to determine who goes through second in Group E, because, you know, tiebreakers and stuff. I could have easily booked around it so none ever happened, but that sort of makes it lose a bit of, you know, realism. So, yeah. Because I can't do head-to-head, because there's 3 of them. They will beat each other. Balor Club versus Hit Row sort of continues as we start Group F. And it's Escobar who scores the victory over Ashanti with a 72 rated match. He beats him with a Phantom Driver in 13-10, 68 for Santos, 59 for Ashanti the Adonis. He's through, and I believe Humberto and RKJ. Humberto's on 3, RKJ's on 1. So whoever wins that match will go through second. And it is, of course, the Path of the Dragon Boy himself. I can't justify beating these guys. So Humberto wins. He beats RKJ with a moonsault in 12:49. 60 for RKJ and an 81 for Humberto. And then let's take a look at what that means for the groups. Completed groups. Yeah, as you can see, Roddy won every single match. And then these 3 will beat each other. So these 3 will be in a triple threat match next week, along with these 2 matches here. And then this group is fine because Santos topped it, Humberto comes second. So Roderick Strong will face Humberto Carrillo, and then Escobar will face the winner of that triple threat. Confusing? Not really, but maybe I'm not explaining it well. Anyway, we end the show, 74 rated show. We are nearly through the group stages of the Cruiserweight World Cup. Next week will be the final group games of the tournament, before we enter knockout wrestling the week after that. And of course the road to King of the Ring and Queen's Crown. There's a lot of tournaments going on. There's 3 tournaments going on at once right now. So it's a lot to keep track of on my end, but it does make the shows easier to book. So I'll see you next time for Raw, where the next 2 first round King of the Ring and Queen's Crown matches for that brand will take place. I believe it's Xavier Woods and Kyle O'Reilly, Cesaro and Finn Balor for the King of the Ring, and then for the Queen's Crown it's Nova and Asuka and Alba Fire and Naomi. See you then.